If I have that, I will be out. And that is what the good bowlers also knows, that this fellow will respond in this way only. Then he bowls in such a way that he is out. So I should be ready for whatever type of ball comes. And in that fraction of a second, I will have to decide how to play. And if I do that, if I am able to do that in that fraction of a second, I can be a good batsman. You understand? Means I am available for whatever comes. I don't have any preconceived idea. Then I can respond to the present moment most efficiently. In the same way, whatever comes in life, I accept it with full dedication, full love and full reverence that it is a gift from God, that it has come as prasad. Then I am fully available for it. And when I am fully available in the present moment, I respond to it with a different energy. I respond to it 100%. A different energy is there. Different power is there. And that's what we see in a realized master, in a great master. Like Pujya Gurudev and all. When you used to interact with him, he was there available. And depending on the situation, he will respond to it. Not with a preconceived ideas or this and that, but he is there available. He was always available. Very strange thing. So busy, yet always available in the present moment. And responding to the present moment in a different way altogether. You understand? So that is what Bhagavan says, that you accept whatever results come completely. If you do this, then you will develop that attitude of performing actions for me. Because whatever results come, it doesn't matter for you. Then you will start performing actions for me. Once you start performing actions for me, your mind will start becoming more and more pure, your intellect will become more and more sublime, then you will be able to do abhyas of focusing placing your mind and intellect in me. Once you do that, your mind and intellect will become steadily placed in me. And once you attain that state, you will attain me. So these are the very step-by-step method of attaining God is given here. Most beautiful, most fascinating. 4 simple steps. So you remember. What is the first step? Accept whatever results come. Then start performing all actions for God. Then practice placing your mind and intellect in God. And then your mind and intellect will steadily be placed in God. One attains that state of realization. Now when these 4 things are mentioned, generally that question comes in our mind, which is the best? Which of these 4 are best? He says all are best, all are good, all lead to the same goal. It's like a train. If you sit if you board a train on a particular station, that train will take you to the last destination. So whether I am at the first step or the second step, whichever step I take, it will take me to the final destination. Even that tyaga is a great technique by which I can attain the supreme goal. And that is what now Bhagavan tells in the next verse. He tells us the importance of this tyaga. Shreyo hitnyanam abhyasat jnanadhyanam vishishyate dhyanat karma phala tyagah tyagachantiranantaram shreyo hitnyanam abhyasat jnanadhyanam vishishyate. Bhagavan says that Shreyo hit jnanam abhyasat. Better than abhyas, abhyas means practice, done without proper understanding. Better than that is to gain the proper understanding first. See, when we practice, even if good practice, spiritual practice, if it is done without proper understanding, it slowly becomes superstitious or some sort of just ritual like. Illogical, irrational ritual. Even a good practice, if it is done without understanding, that might just be an outer actions only, which will not be beneficial. It might not be effective because the main ingredient is missing in it. Understanding is missing in it. So it will not be effective. So Bhagavan says, better than abhyas, practice. Here practice means without proper understanding, jnanam is better, knowledge is better. Therefore, knowledge means understanding of our sadhana properly, completely. It's like having a map. Suppose you want to drive in a new locality and all, it is always good to have a map. So you know where you are, and you know where you have to go, and you know what are the various routes and lanes and all which will take you there. It should be very clear. Like big societies and all, they have these big maps and all, and there they will put a dot and they say, you are here. One person went in search of his friend, and everywhere he saw those maps, and always they said, you are here. So afterwards he reached his friend and he said, your society is quite advanced, like the maps are also so intelligent, they knew where I was. So I should know where I am, I should know where I have to go, and I should know what are the paths which will lead me there. Every sadhana which is given in our scriptures, it has got some logic, some rational, some understanding behind it, some principle on which it functions, and that we should know it. Otherwise, it will become like a mere activity, and it will not help us to progress on our spiritual journey. It can become like a habit only. Some people, they just do it habitually, so it will become just another habit. Just as so many other we have habits we have picked up, so one more habit, spiritual habit. So Bhagavan says that is not good. You should try to gain right understanding. So jnanam is better, and that jnanam you can gain by studying the right scriptures like this Bhagavad Gita, Upanishads, and the literature of our realized masters. When we read them, we gain the sound understanding of our life, our goal, everything becomes very clear. So, Shreyo hit jnanam abhyasat. And after gaining that knowledge, we have to then do the abhyas. And the ultimate abhyas will take us to that final state of realization. So after gaining knowledge, this abhyas, and also what you call abhyas of dhyana should be done. So Bhagavan says, jnanat dhyanam vishishyate. Better than just knowing is meditation. Meditation leads to the understanding, leads to the experience of what I have known. Meditation leads to the experience of what I have known. So I may have known things from the scriptures, but then whatever I have understood and have appreciated, I should meditate and recognize and realize it. So through the knowledge, I come to know that I am of the nature of Sat, Chit and Ananda. I am that pure existence, pure consciousness and pure bliss. I am that Atma which is neither born nor does it die. I am not the body. Body is born, body dies, but that Atma never dies. This is the knowledge. But this remains knowledge only if we don't meditate and actually experience it. Aparoksha anubhuti we should gain. Direct mystical experience of our self. That happens through meditation. Just like sleep. I might have all the knowledge about sleep. A person who could not sleep, he went to the market and brought all the books about sleep. Everything about sleep, A to Z about sleep. Sleep made easy. Sleep for dummies. All the various books were there, he brought them. And he read them. But still he was wide awake. So he had knowledge about sleep, but he did not have experience of sleep. To have knowledge about something and to have experience about something are two different things. I mean, knowledge should culminate in experience, then only it is complete knowledge. So many may have knowledge about God or about the self, but to gain the direct realization of it, we need to follow the path of meditation, which we have studied in the 6th chapter. So slowly and steadily, the attention should be shifted to that self. Knowledge happens in the mind, in the intellect. And with the help of this knowledge, we have to shift our attention to that which is indicated by this knowledge. Knowledge of the self. So when that knowledge of the self is there, with the help of that knowledge, we have to shift the attention towards the self. So knowledge helps us to pinpoint the altar of our meditation. It's like if I have the knowledge of the skies, the stars, and if someone tells me that, oh, which is this star, then I can pinpoint that star. Exactly, this is the star. But if I don't have, I can just show any star. वही होगा शायद, वैसा ही लगता है. But if I have the knowledge, I can tell exactly that is the star, not that one, this one. Similarly, when I have the knowledge, my attention can be pinpointed towards the object of my meditation. Many times people don't have this knowledge and they want to meditate. And they don't know. After closing their eyes, they don't know what to do. The only thing then afterwards they do is open their eyes. कि कहाँ आत्मा का ध्यान करना चाहिए नहीं क्या करना चाहिए, ये आत्मा क्या चीज है, कहाँ रहती है. So if we don't know, we might be meditating on something else only. And meditating on something else will not lead us to self-knowledge. We have to meditate on the self with the help of the indicators given in the scriptures. So, jnanat dhyanam vishishyate, after gaining the right knowledge. So, knowledge we gain through Shravan and Manan. By listening to the scriptures and by contemplating on them, we gain the right understanding. And after gaining this understanding, we should do dhyana, that niridhyasana, dhyana. And that dhyana leads to the direct experience of the truth. But even there are some people who might be doing that dhyana for a long time, but still that realization doesn't happen. So what is the obstacle? The obstacle in dhyana is lack of tyaga, lack of renunciation. Therefore, Bhagavan says here in the next verse, next line, कि ध्यानात् कर्म फल त्यागः, greater than dhyana is karma phala tyaga. See, though the karma phala tyaga is given here as the very initial sadhana, but this karma phala tyaga itself leads to the higher level. And then it leads to the ultimate state of realization. See, in our scripture it is said, that we can gain this state of realization through tyaga, through renunciation. Like this famous mantra is there, कि न कर्मणा न प्रजया धनेन त्यागे नैके amrutatvamanashuhu, that through renunciation only you will gain that state of immortality. But renunciation of what? There are two things which we can renounce. One is my and another is I. My and I. My means whatever I feel, this is my, that I can renounce. I cannot renounce your property. I cannot say I have renounced your this. It should be at least mine. Then only I can say I have renounced. A beggar cannot say I have renounced. There should be something to renounce. So something which I feel belongs to me, I can say I have renounced it. Like in the good old days, they used to even renounce their kingdom and go to the forest. They will give it to their son or to someone and then go to the forest. So renunciation of that which I think belongs to me. It is not only the property, but even the relations. I say this son belongs to me or this belongs to me. That also one has to renounce. That is the first step of renunciation of that which we call as my. That is a simple step. This also is very difficult. But it is simple compared to the second step is to renounce the sense of I, the ego. I means the ego. The little I, which thinks that everything belongs. So I say this house belongs to me. So house becomes mine. But this one who says I is also a temporary phenomenon. Tomorrow that I also will disappear and that somebody else will say that house belongs to me. So that I, ego, is also a temporary phenomena identified with a particular body. So here when Bhagavan says karma phala tyagam, it is the initial stage of tyaga, when I renounce when I renounce my attachment to whatever results which come in my life, I just accept them. That is like renouncing the notion of my, ye mere ko chahiye, ye mera hai, mere ka tyag. But in the deep state of meditation, we should be able to drop the sense of I also. And when that sense of I is dropped, at that very moment, person attains the state of realization. Tyaga shanti anantaram. Bhagavan says, the very moment you are able to do this tyaga, ultimate karma phala, actually karma is done by I. The sense of doership which I have, that person does the karma and he alone gets the result of karma. The doer gets the result of karma. So the sense of doership itself is called that ahankar or ego. Aham karta iti bhavana, the notion that I am the doer. And that I am the doer alone gets the result. One who performs that action, he alone gets the result. Even after death, that ego doesn't die, so the result comes in our next life. So when we say karma phala tyaga, it is like renouncing whatever results I get, but ultimate in the state of meditation, I should be able to renounce even this sense of I. And that if one is able to do, it's a very strange thing. It's like even in sleep, we have to renounce our I and my temporarily. Then only we can sleep. But in the state of meditation, that is completely renounced. The sense of I which is there, we understand it as false through our knowledge. And we know that I am that supreme reality and not this limited being. So the attachment to this limited concept which I have has to be dropped. And then that shanti, that supreme state of peace and enlightenment happens. I must have told you this story before, that a person came to a Zen master and he brought some flowers to offer to his master. So the master looked at him and said, "Drop it." And he dropped the flower on his feet. Then he stood there. Again the master looked at him and said, "Drop it." Then he said, "What more to drop now?" Then he thought, "Oh, I have given him only flowers, but I have a lot of the other things." So he, in his mind only, did the sankalpa that whatever belongs to me, I am offering it to my master. Again the master looked at him and said, "Drop it." Then he said, "Arre Bapre, now what is there?" Then he realized that one who has offered everything is still there. If I am there, then what have I offered? So he dropped his sense of I also. He offered that also. And when he offered that, at that very moment, he attained the state of enlightenment. So this ego ego is not pride. Huh? Many people, they think that pride and ego is same. Ego is sense of I. Pride is also there, which is your abhiman and all. But ego is a sense of false notion of I, false notion of self is called ego. Wrong notion of self. And what is that wrong notion? Whatever you consider yourself to be, other than Satchidananda Swarup Brahma, is called false notion of I. Shivoham, that is the right notion. Aham Brahmasmi, that is the right notion. I am a man, I am a woman, I am an Indian, I am a Hindu, I am a Muslim, I am young, I am old. All these are false notions or notions related to the body, mind, intellect, not to the self. It's like saying that, oh, this is a drawing room, this is a kitchen, this is a veranda. These are, though we are talking about space, but we are talking about space with respect to the walls. Space by itself is not a drawing room, is not a veranda, is not a living room, is not a bedroom. Space is space. It doesn't have any qualities in it. But when space is confined within some walls, we give that space some name. And unless that space transcends that name, it will not appreciate or understands itself as that cosmic space, as that all-pervading space. Similarly, Atma is like space and Ahankar is like that space confined within walls. Walls of what? Walls of our body, our mind, our personality, our memories, our desires, our ambitions, all these create walls. So that sense of I has to be dropped, and that can be dropped when we develop perfect understanding of my real nature. I develop great vairagya and great fearlessness. Fearlessness is the key. If there is even little bit of fear, I will not drop. I will hold on to this I. There should be absolute fearlessness and readiness to embrace that eternity. Eternity. We are eternal, but we want to be confined within time. We are afraid to dissolve into that eternity. It's like the salt doll doesn't want to dissolve in ocean. But without dissolving in ocean, it cannot become ocean. So that dropping this I, sense of this ego, is the ultimate. Bhagavan said, Dhyanat karma phalatyaga. Many people sit for dhyana, but if they don't renounce, if they fail to attain that state of renunciation of that I, see, it is a very strange thing. It's not that I renounces I. It's that deep comprehension makes that I fall down. It's not the I renouncing I also. It's a very catch-22 situation. If that I tries to renounce I, that I will still be there. And that is depicted in a very interesting way in the story in Ramayana, where all these kings come to lift Shiva Dhanush, the bow of Shiva. That bow of Shiva is like that ahankar, which has to be broken to attain that Shanti Swarup Sita ji. But nobody could do it because with ego only they were doing it. So ego was all the time being maintained. But when Ramchandra ji was told by his teacher, Uta Huram Bhanjahu Shiva Chapa, as a ajna from his teacher, without getting excited, without raga dvesha, the bow got lifted and it got broken also. So it's a symbolic representation of this ego breaking up. The ego and the Madhya Dhanu Tora, it breaks in the center. We have to hold the past, the future, and break it in the present moment. The ego is a bundle of the past and imagination of the future. When you see in the exact present moment, the ego will be understood to be pure existence, consciousness, and bliss only. But when we color that existence, consciousness, bliss, it appears like ego. When I become purely aware of my present moment only, in the present moment there is no past, there is no future. And when there is no past and there is no future, present moment is pure existence. There is no ego there. So when a person in the deep state of meditation, with his awareness of the self, suddenly the ego drops, and when the ego drops, there is supreme peace. Tyagaj Shanti Anantaram. Supreme state of peace is experienced immediately. Because all trouble and all problem is there with this I and my only. Aham and mama. Ahankar and mamatva. So therefore Bhagavan calls this karma phala tyaga, though it is an initial sadhana, it helps a person to become free of his attachment to all this my. And that leads to the higher and higher sadhana, till that person is able to place his mind and intellect in God. Placing the mind and intellect in God itself then becomes a meditation. And when we place that mind and intellect, we have to drop the sense of I and just surrender to that divinity. Therefore, in the last chapter of Gita also Bhagavan says, कि सर्व धर्मान परित्यज्य माम एकम शरणम व्रज अहंत्वा सर्व पापेभ्यः मोक्षयिष्यामि मा शुचः. Give up all your attachment to all your dharma and your body, mind and all, and surrender to me. I will liberate you from all sins. So dhyanat karma phalat tyagaha tyagat shanti anantaram. When the tyaga happens, instantly there is shanti. There is a very interesting Gita called Ashtavakra Gita. There is a dialogue between Raja Janak and Ashtavakra Rishi. So Raja Janak once had come to Ashtavakra Rishi, and Raja Janak asked him, he used to have a dialogue with him. So in one of the dialogue he asked him that how long does it take to attain that state of enlightenment. He said the very moment you drop your ego, that very moment you will attain the state of enlightenment. Before you can even mount the horse, you can attain the state of realization. So that is what is said. Tyagat means the very moment we attain that state of tyaga, we attain the state of enlightenment. This was attained by Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi by inquiring into this I. That who is this I? What is this I? And as he inquired with full attention, when he inquired what is this I, and with his full power of awareness when he looked at that I notion just fell off. And when that I notion fell down, he came to recognize himself as that pure consciousness. So this is a most fascinating and beautiful thing which Bhagavan has revealed here. Thus he gave this step-by-step technique by which one can attain the state of realization by following this sadhana. Now from the next verse, Bhagavan gives some characteristics of those who have attained the state of enlightenment. Those bhaktas who have attained oneness with God, those who have attained that state of God realization, how do they live? How do they walk? How do they talk? How do they interact with the world? What a little bit of them is said here in these following verses, their characteristic, bhakta lakshanas. This is one of the most beautiful portion of Bhagavad Gita. In following so many verses, these characteristics are given, and in the last verse, in the 20th verse, Bhagavan calls all these qualities as dharma. Dharmyamrutam idam. He says it is amrutam dharma. It is the immortal dharma or the ambrosial dharma, nectarian dharma, the best dharma. Dharma means path of righteousness for all. See, there is many things are there about dharma, but the ultimate of dharma is to follow certain values in life. And these values are the natural characteristic of realized masters. It's very interesting. When a person realizes the truth, when a person gains the state of enlightenment, when a person gains the state of God realization, that person behaves in a particular way. That person's behavior is considered dharma. His attitude, the mind also, the way the person responds to the world, the way the person functions becomes the dharma, because it is the most, the best way to respond to the world. See, for example, suppose a person is in a state of intoxication, right? A drunk person. He will behave in a different way altogether. A drunk person going home, how will he go home? He measure the roads. Now and then he will stop on the road and direct the traffic. They love to direct traffic actually. I don't know why. इधर जाओ, हाँ उधर से जाओ. And hug the dogs and all on the streets. Dogs also love them very much. So they have a typical behavior. Now, can we consider that behavior as the ideal behavior for all sober people also? We cannot say, because it's a very behavior when the intellect is not functioning properly. When that fellow is not even aware of himself and the world around him. That is not considered as the ideal behavior. Similarly, even our so-called behavior is not ideal behavior. Because our behavior also is based on so many factors. Our behavior sometimes is colored by our anger, our jealousies, our pride, our fear, our own selfishness. So that behavior is also not the best of behavior. So what is the best of behavior? Best of behavior is that which is expressed by a mind which is free from selfishness, the mind which is free from all this, or that person who has identified with the supreme truth, supreme reality. And when that person identifies with that supreme reality, his mind, his intellect, his senses, his body responds in a particular way. That is considered as the best response, the best behavior. And that, very interestingly, is common for all. Means all those who have attained this state of realization, they have this similar behavior. Whether it's an Indian saint or American or from wherever in this world, whichever be the religion, who have attained the state of God realization, they have certain common characteristics. And those characteristics are our natural characteristics, because naturally we are that supreme reality only. So our behavior, if it is against this or different from this, is because of our selfishness, because of our ego, because of our pride and jealousies, which is not proper. So whatever the characteristic mentioned here are natural for the realized master, but they become sadhana for others. For seekers, they become sadhana. We have to cultivate them with effort. We have to cultivate these values with proactively, with proper understanding, and we have to try to follow them as much as we can. Therefore, Bhagavan says those who follow this, they are following the best path of, they are following the best righteousness. So let us study these characteristics. We'll chant the 13th verse. Adveshta sarvabhutanam maitra karuna evacha nirmamo nirahankaraha samadukha sukhakshami adveshta sarvabhutanam mamo nirahankaraha samadukha sukhakshami. We'll chant the next verse also. Santushta satatam yogi yatatma dhrudha nishchayah Mayyarpitamano buddhihi yo madbhaktas same priyah santushtas satatam yogi yatatma dhrudha nishchayah mayyarpitamano buddhihi. Yo mad bhaktaha same priyaha. He who is my bhakta, my devotee, having this nature, having this characteristic, such a devotee is very dear to me. And such a person alone is my devotee. Such person who shows this characteristic alone is my devotee. See, there are certain things which we can measure externally. Like suppose my temperature and all can be measured, blood pressure can be measured. We have machines to measure. But devotion, how can you measure? Let me check your devotion. You can't. How can we measure devotion? So we generally give certificate to ourselves that I am a greater devotee.